Hello, you're listening to the Career Changemaker podcast. Having the courage to leave a career that you have worked hard to build and try something else can be tough. So in each episode, we dive into key career change strategies so that you have a clear understanding of what is required to transition into a new role or a new industry without feeling like you have to start at the bottom or have to take a massive pay cut, because #ain't nobody got time for that. If you are ready for frank and honest discussions about how to become a career change maker, keep listening. I'm your host, lawyer turned career strategist and executive coach, Janine Esbrand. Hello, and welcome to the show. In today's episode, we're doing one of my favorite types of episodes, and that is a past client case study interview. So you get to be a fly on the wall on our debrief conversation that typically happens a month or two after a client finishes working with me. One of the reasons why I'm so passionate about helping people find meaningful and impactful work that they really enjoy doing is because I get to experience that on a day-to-day basis. I get to use my skill set to work with and support the most incredible women. And I don't take that for granted. I don't take for granted that the women that I get to work with are amazing humans, and I get to be part of their journey and know that what I have been able to do with them and work alongside them on has contributed to them finding fulfillment in their careers. Like, that just fills my cup, no end. And Charmaine has been one of those awesome clients. She has been incredible on this journey because she has been willing to show up. She has been willing to do the work. She has been willing to step outside of her comfort zone. And because she's been willing to do those things, she has achieved some incredible results. She's been able to learn some nuggets that you can apply to your situation and make bold moves in your career. So without further ado, let's dive into the conversation that I had with Charmaine. Hi, Charmaine.
Good afternoon, Janine. How are you?
I am good, thank you. I'm super excited to have this conversation with you today. So before we dive into the few questions that I have, firstly, just introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about you.
Hey, my name's Charmaine. I'm a property solicitor. I've been a property solicitor in excess of 20 years, and that's it, really.
Yes. So I want to start at the beginning, or our beginning, in terms of working together. So where were you in your career? What was going on for you when we first started coaching together?
Okay. As I've explained, I was well advanced in terms of PQE. I qualified in 2003, so we started working together last year, 2023. I had no fixed career goals, but I've always been quite an ambitious person, so I've just been getting on with my jobs, just, merrily getting on and being promoted, but I probably wasn't where I wanted to be 20 years down the line. And I think the last 4 years I've been there's been a kind of stalemate. I've been keen to progress my career, and I've tried to broach it a couple of times with a few bosses, but their response was generally, who'd do your job if you were promoted? Or if I promoted you, what would so-and-so say? And I also felt guilty about asking about promotion because the company, when I joined it, it was pretty flat, and I knew that when I joined it. But I think when you're working hard and you've got your head down and, you're pulling out some really good results, that's kind of the next step. But yeah, I felt guilty about it, and I felt like I should just be quiet and get my head down and go on with my work, but it didn't ever feel enough. And so I also noticed that people that joined after me seemed to be, in different departments, seemed to be getting promoted, or they seemed to be able to join the senior leadership team. But none of that was happening for me, and I wasn't quite sure why. I wasn't quite sure what I was or wasn't doing right. I had my annual review a year or so ago, and I asked for, a few years ago, and I asked for a 360 review, and I also asked for a coach, and both of those were agreed, but then I never got the results for the 360 review, and the coaching, it was never meaningfully progressed. So I was pretty stuck. I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do. Promotion for me didn't seem like it was on the horizon. So I had to work out what I was going to do next. And in walked in Janine Esbrand and Career Changemakers.
Yes. And I remember like when we first started working together, you knowing that you wanted to move and feeling like frustrated about the fact that you weren't being fully recognized for the work that you were doing or the contribution that you were making. What did you find most useful about the coaching to help you to kind of unpack some of that and then figure out some strategies around dealing with that piece?
Yeah, so coming to you, I didn't feel like I was being seen. I didn't feel like I was being heard. So I was coming to you at a pretty low point where I just felt really flat. And what really helped with the coaching was the talking about my situation, what I wanted, the reasonableness of it all, the direction I wanted to go in, and next steps. And we were able to talk about that. What I also found useful was the reassurance that you gave. I wasn't being unreasonable. What I wanted was achievable and how I could go about getting it. And you were able to validate some of my experiences. You know, sometimes you have certain experiences and you think, is this in my head? And then you were like, no, I come across this. I've seen this. This happened. So it was that kind of validation. And all of that was really, really useful.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the piece that really stood out for me with the work that we did was helping you to really recognize that you deserve to be where it is that you want to be. You've put in your time and you're good at what it is that you do. Let's talk a little bit about LinkedIn and how you were able to use that to boost your confidence really in your perspective and the fact that it is valid. What happened when you started implementing like LinkedIn strategies?
I was doing a bit of LinkedIn work before we started working together. So there was a period when I was at home for quite a long time. And so I was reading LinkedIn. And LinkedIn is a great tool for finding out, especially if you're in a specialized area or if you're not in a specialized area, but seeing what's happening in the industry. So it's a good tool for that. Reading articles, reading different people's opinions on different things and seeing whether I agreed with those opinions or whether I had a different approach. And seeing some of the legislation and some of the guidance and seeing it firsthand. So it's an amazing learning tool. And so I was using LinkedIn in that way previously to us working. When we started working together, you were very keen for me to show up more frequently on LinkedIn and share my views more frequently and saying that, you also big on saying that it doesn't have to be chapter and verse. You can have a snippet here, you can have a poll here, you can get some pictures in. You made my contributions to LinkedIn, I think, a bit more versatile, a bit more current, and you made me a bit more, I suppose, visible on LinkedIn. And you told me to be more visible on LinkedIn, and that's what I did. And having done that, I've got a massive connection now, quite a few connections. They're 1,000 plus. Having done that, I've got people that come to me and say, oh, we liked your content on LinkedIn. They might say it to me to my face. In fact, somebody said it to me in a meeting the other day. When are they going to hear from me on LinkedIn? The stuff that I'm doing is really good. Or they might say it to me personally when they email me personally or message me on LinkedIn and say, this is really good stuff. Unfortunately, I can't like it, but I do support what you're saying.
I love that. I love that how you're sharing, like you showed up and what that meant for you. But let's talk a little bit about how that felt, because I think for some people, I say to people all the time, leverage LinkedIn, use LinkedIn, show up. Not everybody does it, even though I tell them to. You did take that action, but how did you feel in doing it? Was it the more you did it, the easier it got? Or
I think the experience I had before, and not that I'm opinionated, but I like to share my opinion. So I would read things and I'd be, oh, but that's not quite right, or actually I agree with that. Or when I'm at work and I'm going through agreements, or I'm working with particular people, and I will see a particular stance from a particular party on LinkedIn, and I'll be, well, actually, that's not quite right. So it was about, for me, it wasn't something that I was scared to do. It was about trying to create some clarity, or actually trying to show a different point of view. And like you said, it doesn't have to be chapter and verse. It can just be a short statement and just commenting. You can just start commenting on things before you actually go to building up to a post.
Yes, yes, I love that. And just seeing your evolution with LinkedIn of being like, yeah, I'm posting here and there to then being consistent and then having the responses that you had was so good to see. Like people within your industry responding to things and people noticing you going to events and being like, oh, you're the lady from LinkedIn. It's like you really did raise your visibility. So kudos to you for doing that.
And just some of the people that were responding, there were people from Oxford University that were responding, and other universities. There were people that were responding that are barristers that are well known in their fields that were liking it or commenting. There were MDs from different companies commenting. So there were people just in ordinary companies just saying, yes, we've had that experience, or what do you think of X, Y, and Z? It was like a bit of a community, really. Sometimes these posts could be a bit of a community, and there were hubs for learning.
Yes, yes. So how does that now tie in to the goal that you had when you were like, okay, I want to get promoted. I don't want to stay where I am. I can see that I should be more senior. How did the LinkedIn piece help with that? Or did it help with that?
Like you said, I think it did boost my confidence, because I think sometimes when you're working in your heads down, you're not seeing what you're achieving, or you're not acknowledging what you're achieving, and you don't necessarily appreciate what you do know. And I think going on LinkedIn and sharing some of my views and sharing some of my ideas and just commenting and seeing people's reactions to that made me think, actually, I do know what I'm talking about. I do know what I'm doing, and I'm not alone. And this is helping.
Yeah. Yeah. So good. So what would you say, having gone through this whole process and having had coaching to support you with moving up in your career, moving on in your career, what's been the biggest lessons that you've taken away from the whole
Okay.
process?
There's been a few. You shouldn't feel guilty for wanting more. That's just natural.
Mm,
And I don't know why I did, but I felt guilty, and wanting more is natural. Take time to acknowledge your achievements, because it's easy to brush them aside or not give them the kudos that they deserve. So take time to acknowledge those. Appreciate your value and what you bring to the table,
mm,
because not everyone will tell you, but they will take. So appreciate yourself and what you bring to the table. I also think how to present yourself. I think you've shown me how to present myself and how to show up in terms of at work and in meetings. We talked about sharing my opinions, which I used to do, but I was conscious that I might be sharing too much. And we talked about the importance of three and getting what you want to say and just making three clear points and then moving on. You've helped me show up in terms of networking events, how I need to prepare, who I need to target. Do I need to target? Do I need to have something smart to say or something interesting to say? So preparation is key. And on social media, be visible, ask questions, share thoughts. Those are the biggest lessons that I've learned, and just the importance of social media, as I said before, as a learning tool and a networking tool.
so many wins. I'm like, that's a lot. You're like, those are my things. It's like, that's a lot of things. I love that. So, those are your lessons. What has been the biggest win for you that's come out of this whole process?
Securing a new job, promotion, attack,
Yes, yes.
salary increase, improved benefits, and just raising my profile. As I said before, I've made some really good connections, and it's across the industry. So that's just not as solicitors. I've made some good connections with surveyors, fire engineers, I don't know, solicitors that are in buying and selling, barristers, just people from across the industry. I'm able to sit and speak to them, and we're able to share different ideas and, just debate on LinkedIn.
Yeah. So, can we just dig into a little bit the way that you secured this? Because you said your biggest win was I got the promotion, got the salary increase, moved to a different organization, or you're about to. But how did this come about? Because I think lots of people assume that they have to wait for a recruiter to come to them and they have to wait for a job posting. But the way that this opportunity came about, I'm like, can we talk about it?
You talked about opportunities. I have colleagues that talk about opportunities, and I think if your head is buried in the books and you're always buried in work, you don't necessarily see those opportunities. So you have to come above the parapet, firstly. And you really got me to do that. LinkedIn was one of the reasons, one of the ways that I got this new job, being visible, people hearing what I've got to say, writing articles, because I started doing that as well, and people seeing that I had a voice, really, and having something to say resulted in people then looking at me in probably a different way.
Yes.
I'm no longer just, I think I'm more of a 3D kind of person. I'm Charmaine. They're seeing somebody different. They're seeing a person. And I went to a meeting. I had a conversation, and the new job basically stemmed from that conversation. And I think being seen and being visual.
Yes. Like, it came from a conversation that you had, and all the work that you were doing before that in terms of LinkedIn and showing up just helped to raise your profile so that you positioned yourself as a candidate by yourself. Like, it wasn't like you against other people. It was like, actually, we want you because we know what your expertise is and we've seen you and we think you'll be a value add, which is a very different position to be in than applying for a role as well as 100 other people.
Yeah. Just being my everyday self in meetings and speaking up. And, not everyone's going to agree with what you say. Not everyone's probably going to understand what you say. But it's important to have your say, I think, and let people know that you're thinking, and let people know that, this is difficult. This is my train of thought. It might not be right. It might be right, but you're moving, showing this progress. And I think that really helps me, being more visual and being more verbal.
Yeah. So good. I will tell you that I have been sharing with other clients your story to be like, I have this client and she was showing up and this is what happened. So just know that you're inspiring other people who go through the programs as well. So what are you excited about now? Now that you've secured the role, you're kind of on your way towards it. Like, what are you excited about?
New challenges, I suppose, new challenges ahead. I'm not one to shy away from challenges, and I love to learn. So it's scary, but I'm looking forward to the new challenges, meeting new people, starting new relationships, because I've found on this particular journey how important relationship building is, learning new things and using my new skills that I've picked up now. Putting those to good use.
Love it. So good. So if someone's listening to this and they have been contemplating getting coaching and getting support with making a career transition or getting to that next level in their career, what would you say to them?
100% get a coach. Get a coach that's the right fit for you. And you'll generally know that. I looked at 4 coaches before we got together. I've loved working with you. I find you funny, smart, thoughtful, and straightforward. You offer clarity when it's difficult to sometimes see things clearly when you're in it. We often had a number of chats and I was like, that's completely right. That's what I would have told a friend. Why couldn't I tell myself that? Sometimes it's not that clear when you're in it. You challenge in a meaningful way. And you also offer practical advice. And so, look, this is the advert. I was stuck in a rut for 4 years. And now, look, I've got a new job, more money, better benefits. And, and that's in the course of during the course of us working together.
Yeah.
Some of it's you.
I love it.
Some of it's me.
Exactly. I'm like, it's not all me, it's totally you. Like, yes, I was here to support you, but I can give guidance and support all day long. But if you don't take action, you don't get results. And so, yes, it's if you're going to go into a coaching relationship, know that the coach can only support you as far as you're willing to show up for yourself, right?
The help and support, because I was struggling. I'm the same person, but I wasn't able to just get that shift, get that impetus. I wasn't able to do it without the coaching. Then I did it and it was easy. There wasn't anything that was frightening about it. It was just, I knew what I wanted to do. You told me what to do. We talked about how to do it, and it was just a matter of getting on and doing it.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. Honestly, I'm so honored that you chose me out of the 4 coaches to support you. It has been a fun ride. I've enjoyed our coaching sessions. It's just been wonderful to see the transformation. And I know that all of the lessons that you've learned and all that you've worked on, you're going to take that into this next role and absolutely smash it. Like I'm beyond excited to hear about updates in a few months' time. So thank you, Charmaine, and thank you for sharing. I hope that anyone listening to this is inspired to know that if you are feeling stuck, like it's absolutely possible for you to have the type of change that you want and for you to secure the type of role that you want. You just need the right strategy and support to get there. So thank you.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation. And if you were listening to it and there were times where you were thinking, oh, yeah, I was in exactly the same place that she was in when she first started, or I would love to experience what she has experienced, then let's have a chat about working together. The Career Changemaker program is currently open for enrollment until the 19th of January. And I'd love to have a conversation with you to see whether or not the program could be a good fit. And if this program isn't a good fit, whether one of the other ways that I work with people could be more aligned to what it is that you're looking for. I'm so excited to support more women and help them to make huge strides and transformations in their careers. And I'd love one of those women to be you. So that's all I'm going to share for today. I'll be back very, very soon. Until next time, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe to the show so that you don't miss any future episodes. Also, I would love to know what your biggest takeaway has been from today's episode. Come over and join us in our Career Changemakers community over on LinkedIn so that you can join the conversation there.